What is going on, everybody? WEedletwineedle here, and we are back again with another Sun and Moon Wi-Fi battle, and this one's going to be against Kevin, a person I battle off my Discord server. So if you guys are interested in a Sun and Moon Wi-Fi battle, enter a Discord chat room and a place to hang out and talk about Pokemon and meet new people, definitely check out my Discord server. A link will be in the description. Now, me and Kevin are having a rarely used battle today, as Kevin's team is looking pretty stacked, honestly. He has Heracross with Registeel, Gligar, Sharpedo, Como-O, and Reuniclus, very threatening Pokemon in the RU tier. As I'm using a pretty fun team featuring Stantler and my Whiscash set, pretty cool, as well as my Gardevoir and Linoon strat, which some of you may be aware of, and I'm also using my Omastar Hazard Lead and Assault Vest Dalmai, so we're just going to head right into this battle as it's pretty fun. And yes, my opponent is going to lead off with his Heracross turn 1, realizing that I really don't have switch into Heracross, and he probably predicted my Omastar lead, so very nicely done on my opponent's part. I'm going to lead off with Omastar, and my opponent is not going to hesitate to click the close combat, but thankfully my Omastar does carry the Focus Sash because, I just want to tank all the attacks and get up all my hazards, but yeah, the Heracross is going to lose its defenses, which is actually going to benefit me because instead of clicking Hazard, I decided to click Shell Smash because I know the Heracross is probably going to try to one-shot me, and if I Shell Smash it up on it, I'll be able to threaten him out with the Scald or Hydro Pump or whatever. So I'll still be in a decent position even at 1 hit point, so that was my best play. And yet the Heracross is going to want to switch out unless it carries Quick Attack, but I highly doubt it, as now my opponent is going to bring in the Registeel on me. And Registeel is a pretty big threat. I don't really have many ways to hit it, but I'm hoping the Scald gets a nice skillful burn here because it'd make it a lot easier to deal with. As thankfully Scald lives up to its name. We get the burn with Scald, and the Registeel does take a decent chunk. Just looking at that damage though, it looks like he is specially defensive Registeel. And here, I should have definitely clicked Scald twice on the Registeel. I was thinking about it, but instead I decided to lay out my Stealth Rocks. Although I should have definitely just gotten more damage off on the Registeel. I could have been without hazards this game and been fine, but I just wanted to get up entry hazards anyway, as my opponent doesn't reveal Seismic Toss and is going to knock out my Omastar. Unfortunately, it was unable to do all the work that I wanted it to, but I mean, we got nice damage off on Registeel, although, like I said, I should have probably Scalded it just to lower its health a little bit more so my other Pokemon can knock it out, but not too big of a deal. The Registeel is still out a decent amount of HP, but the burn definitely helps me neutralize its health bar, so it doesn't really have an option to heal outside of Healing Wish, which my opponent doesn't look like he has, thankfully, so I'm going to go for the substitute because I know the Registeel has Seismic Toss and it can't break my substitute because of Whiscash's massive HP stat, so I'm going to go for the substitute on the Toxic instead. And now I can just click Dragon Dance freely because I'm not afraid of this Registeel at all. I mean, the only way he could break my sub is with Earthquake, and even then it's kind of iffy, so Registeel is not really in a situation where he would want to stay in my opinion, so my opponent is going to switch out, and my opponent is going to bring in the Como-O. Very nice play on my opponent's part, as Como-O has nice defenses to combat my Dragon Dance set, as I'm just going to click Dragon Dance, because like I said, no reason not to, behind a substitute on a Registeel, which I'm pretty much confident that he can't knock out my substitute, so get a free Dragon Dance, and Como-O is in here, and I know I can just probably do a KO with Earthquake, and I'm hoping I can outspeed it as well, but Whiscash's speed set's actually really low, like it just barely reaches 200 with Jolly Nature, which is pretty sad actually. But yeah, my opponent's going to go for Clanging Scales here, and I know I could take it with my substitute, but Clanging Scales is actually a sound-based move, which I didn't quite realize until, after I was hit by it, and I'm like, oh, one, he's faster than me after a Dragon Dance, so Whiscash is just really bad, and two, just Clanging Scales goes to the sub, but it kind of works for me because he gets -1 defense, and the Earthquake's almost able to knock out Como-O, but it still just barely lives just a sliver of health, and I barely live with a sliver of health, so we're just barely living out here. And this Como-O is definitely looking like a Specs variant or Scarf. I want to say Specs because of the damage, but it could be Scarf because he outsped me at +1 speed. But I think he just outsped me because I don't have max speed investment, and I just have a lot of HP investment instead, so it's just not the best Whiscash set in the world, but whatever, we take it. So now we're going to bring in Stantler here, and I'm hoping that Stantler can get a few kills because of Rudolph, hoping that Rudolph can avenge my team. So we're going to go for the return here and knock out the Como-O. Don't think I could live at the very low amount of HP it's at, and we kind of confirm it's not Choice Scarf because we outsped it there. As now, my opponent is going to bring in the Heracross, and Heracross against Stantler is a pretty good matchup for Heracross. At least my opponent thinks, but I'm going to make my opponent absolutely lose chill because I'm gonna go for my flying Z move. Shiniko's gonna flap her wings, and yes, my Stantler does carry Supersonic Sky Strike because it can't be Rudolph unless it's flying in the sky, right? So that is the only reason why I'm using Supersonic Sky Strike Stantler, by the way. Don't think it's good, don't think it's viable at all, but it's same as Rudolph, so we have to use it with Supersonic Sky Strike, and we're able to OHKO Heracross with it. So like, hey, it came in handy, and I actually have some pretty good convenient Pokemon in this battle. I have Substitute Sub-Dragonance for Registeel with Seismitoss, and then I have Supersonic Sky Strike for Heracross. It's like I came prepared. But honestly, I just freaking threw Pokemon in my battle box, and I'm like, let's battle, bro. But now my opponent's going to bring in their Reuniclus, and Reuniclus is so threatening to my team. I'm not too sure if it was a bulky Calm Mindset or offensive Trick Room. Either way, it's very threatening. My opponent looks like he's defensive Calm Mind, just based on how he brought it in. But here, I'm hoping I can trick Reuniclus a Choice Scarf with my Linoon, but the Reuniclus ends up being a Z move, which makes sense because it reduces knockoff damage. But I just wasn't anticipating that at all, and it really hurts me because now I'm forced to sack off something because I want to preserve Linoon for later. Though it may seem weird to preserve like a Scarf Linoon, but you will see why in a few turns. So Psyshock's going to be unable to knock off Rudolph. Thankfully, Rudolph is able to tank the Psyshock, and now we're able to fire back with a Stab Return, and hopefully we're able to do a decent chunk. As Reuniclus, it takes a little bit of health, but unfortunately we're going to be 2-hit KO'd by the Psyshock. As down goes my Stantler. Unfortunately, I got 2 kills, so I'm not complaining. Stantler did enough. It pulled its weight. As now I'm gonna bring in my Anchor, my Dutchman. Speaking of weight, and I'm gonna go for the Shadow Claw here, as I have no reason not to at this point. My opponent's gonna bring in the Gligar. Good play. I just wanted to be sure I knocked out the Reuniclus because at +1 special attack and special defense is a very big threat to my team. So Shadow Claw is my best play. So in comes the Gligar, as it takes absolutely nothing from that attack. I'm like, Jesus, dude. Gligar is so bulky. But I'm going to bring in my Linoon here, expecting U-turn or knockoff or not Earthquake. Maybe like Stealth Rocks or something. But yeah, my opponent is just going to go for U-turn here. And U-turn right out of here and bring back in the Sharpedo. Sharpedo is a pretty big threat to my team, as Speed Boost can kind of wreck the remainder of my team for the most part, especially physical Sharpedo. My opponent is obviously going to click the Protect just so he knows that he can outspeed me, because I did reveal to be a trick set, so it's likely I'm Choice Scarf. As I do reveal Simple Beam, though my opponent could have looked away from the screen or something. Simple Beam is definitely a fun move to run on this, as if you guys don't already know why, you're in for a treat why this set is so much fun to run. So I'm going to go for Simple Beam here to just neutralize the Speed Boost. That was literally the only goal. I'm going for Simple Beam. That and just giving it Simple is overall just the strategy. So Dark Pulse is going to knock out my Linoon. As it did its job, we got to get rid of Speed Boost and then give it Simple. Not the most efficient way. I was hoping we could trick Reuniclus as well, but unfortunately I ended up carrying a Z move. But now we're able to bring Caseytron here and trace the Simple, which means that all of our stat changes are doubled. And that means that Calm Mind, instead of Calm Mind giving +1 special attack and special defense, it gives me +2 in special attack and special defense. So it's pretty much like I'm using freaking Nasty Plot and Amnesia in one turn. So that gives me a pretty big advantage, I would hope. So I'm going to go for Calm Mind as Registeel comes back in. But because the Registeel is so healthy and I don't carry Focus Blast, I don't think I'm going to be able to knock this thing out with the Stored Power before it's able to Toxic me. And this is where I thought that, if I stayed and went for the Scald, this toxic threat would not be here. But I know that Registeel is so bulky, there's no way Stored Power is going to knock him out. So I decided to click a second Calm Mind because that way I get so much depth that nothing can even do damage to me at that point. And I'll just be able to knock out Registeel comfortably with Stored Power because I get so much more power than you think I do because of the special attack boost and Stored Power. It just stacks to become ridiculously threatening. Not to mention that Gardevoir gets Moonblast to deal with Dark types, so it pretty much just becomes like NU Necrozma. Like, it literally becomes like God. And like, it's really hard to deal with, especially if you don't see it coming, because when you see Linoon, you think Belly Drum, and then when you see Gardevoir, you think like Scarf, Healing Wish, Moonblast. But then you see me using it, and you're like, what the fuck? Why? But arguably, I think this is not like the worst strat I've made. Like, I think I made much worse. Like, I feel like I made many worse strategies than this, but Stored Power at +4 in special attack and Speed F is going to knock out Registeel. Unfortunately, obviously the Toxic's going to limit my sweeping. And this is where if I Scalded the Registeel a second time instead of letting up Stantler, which have not really done anything in this battle, so Scalding a second time is definitely my best play. But it goes to show that, making mistakes in the game can definitely cost you. As now I'm going to go for the Moonblast on Reuniclus. I'm not really too sure why my opponent brought out Reuniclus, because I really thought my opponent was going to bring in Sharpedo, go for Protect, sack off something, bring back in Sharpedo, go for Protect, sack off something, bring in Sharpedo, and then just win the game. But it also helps that he's a special Sharpedo, because he can't really afford to knock me out, because he can't Protect to get the speed boost, and then outspeed me and kill me with like a physical attack, because he's special Sharpedo, which I don't know why people are obsessed with that set. I think physical is way better by a lot. Definitely think the special set with Hydro Pump and Ice Beam has its place, but I think that physical is just better overall, and I think for this team it would have been a lot better. Just in my personal opinion. I mean,
okay, I'm not fucking around anymore.
Arguably way better than mine, so
I
like give advice for team building, then my teams are actually horseshit. It's pretty silly. But yeah, Gardevoir skillfully dodges that Hydro Pump, which does matter because I think that with the Hydro Pump, obviously I would have lived it because I'm at plus 4 Spadef, let's be real, but after the poison damage and Hydro Pump damage, I would have probably died. Unless like plus 4 Spadef Gardevoir was honestly a god, and it could have taken the Hydro Pump with 27 health. But I highly doubt it, as now my opponent is going to bring in the Gligar. It's kind of unfortunate that he missed the Hydro Pump, because it would have been Dolomize against Gligar. And though I could have power-upped on his Roosts, it would have been a pretty long fought-out battle against them too. And I'm sorry if you hear my cat in the background, but she just entered my room, and now she's like debating if she should stay in my room or like leave my room. So she's like halfway out and halfway inside my room. But anyway, I'm rambling. Thank you guys so much for watching this battle. If you enjoyed this Wi-Fi battle and want to support my YouTube channel, please be sure to Continental crush that like button, as it means the world to me, and your support has been amazing lately. The likes and the comments, it means the world to me, and it keeps me inspired to make daily uploads, like I've said in the past. And yeah, the question of the day is going to be, what is your favorite competitive battling format in Pokemon in general? Let me know in the comments down below. Obviously, some people play VGC, some people like Smoke on OU, some people like Smoke on UU. I like the lower tiers in general, but I can't play one battle format for too long or else I get sick of it, and I just face the same shit. It doesn't matter which tier it is. I will face Heracross 63 times in RU, and it is no joke. Like, I'm pretty sure if you look through all my RU Wi-Fi battles, you see like Heracross. It's no joke. But I'm rambling at this point. Thank you guys so much for watching till the end. I'll check you guys in my next video. Alright, peace.